for this guy, the top of the body is a doll that I took apart and added, obviously. Or maybe not, I don't know. The tail. I am really glad I had some of this chunky glitter. It is pretty perfect for scales, and it alleviates me having to sculpt each scale in place, which for a baby mermaid, I really didn't want to have to try to make those that small. So this was a great solution for that. Yeah, so I have a piece of ribbon that I'm going to use for the tail. Just try to manipulate it into a shape that I like. I know, I missed Mermaid. It is now June. But yeah, this will be the second Merbaby thing that I've made, so I'm definitely not gonna let the fact that it's June stop me from making something. I love that they everybody's out there doing mermaid things, and it helps having a specific purpose in place. So you're not trying to think about, what do I feel like making today? You can just say, hey, it's May, I'm making mermaid stuff. I'm using, sorry, I haven't been talking to anybody today, except for maybe the cats. So this Loctite super glue gel, oh my gosh, lifesaver. I tried to use just the regular super glue in the little tubes, you know, that we've all seen and used before. I'm sure anybody that's made any kind of craft anything has tried super glue, and if not, then when you were a kid you probably glued your hands together with it. But I wound up dripping it all over myself, and I glued my pants to my legs. Yeah, so I found this stuff on Amazon for a reasonable price for a whole pack, and oh my goodness, I will say it again, great stuff. Goes and sits where you need it to, adheres to what it's supposed to. Yeah, I will never use regular super glue again. This super glue gel control is, in my opinion. Okay. There's that little tail fin. It's not completed, but it will suffice. Let's trim it up. And kind of get the shape I'm going for in its static mode. I don't know if I like the scale cap. Cute though. Little baby. No, I used some Prisma colored pencils to do a green hue to the skin. I miss pictures. What do you think, Lucy? Cats need to go outside. Not you. Sorry, silly girl. All right, let that dry. And then come back to it in a little while and add some more. All right, this little guy is ready for the water. I'm going to be using some resin to create that effect. On the first one that I did, I didn't put any kind of texture to it. I just left it very smooth and flat, and I actually kind of regret that. So this time I'm going to try to add a little bit of detail to it and hope that it works. I think I'll mix a little extra so I can pour my turtle too. I kind of want to get the third one done so I can get them in their school, or is that what they're called? A herd of turtles? School? I don't know. Okay, let's see. I am going to use the Timu resin for this one. It will work perfectly fine. I'm not worried about bubbles because it is a water scene. Let's see, what did I do with my mask? Left it somewhere else, of course. Got it.
Yep, all muffled up again. I'm gonna turn this around so we can see the mixing process, just for those of you that are curious. So yeah, all right, bye. Welcome to my messy mixing station. I'm not going to be using a whole lot of resin, so I'm going to be doing the smaller mixing cups. Part B and part A. And then I'll probably pour both of those into this one. So let's see. Got my part B. And this is by volume rather than weight. So I don't need to weigh it at all. I can just measure it out. And part A. I'm not being super careful with this one. Excuse me. I'm not concerned with bubbles, like I said. So I'm just going to pour it in. Now that I've been using the deep pour stuff and trying to avoid bubbles, I have to say I learned a lot about how to prevent bubbles from forming. which is really good because there's a lot of things that I want to be making that are clear and bubble free. But I like the fact that this isn't one of those because it's a lot faster. And I don't have to be as careful or as light-handed. I'm always surprised at how much is left in these cups after I think I've done a fairly good job pouring them out. It is very sticky stuff though. If you've never used it, I would say it's kind of the consistency of maple syrup. Or maybe a warm honey. Oops. Okay. Now, whoops. It has been one of those days. As usual. So I don't use the electric mixer with the deep pour bubble free pours that I'm doing now. I found that it actually creates a substantial amount of air bubbles that even with a vacuum, it just takes way longer for it to come out. You don't really save any time using it either. So if I'm going for something crystal clear, I avoid this mixer now. You can see the stringiness pretty good in there. You see it moving around. We're going to mix until that combines and you can't see it anymore. Okay, I don't see any more stringiness or clouds. A lot of bubbles, but that's okay. So I'm going to add a little bit of blue and green. I'm going to use my alcohol inks just to preserve the translucency. This is going to be just a really light tinting. I don't want it to be dark in any way, just a suggestion of the color. So probably 1 drop of each. Oh, you know what? I did want to leave I wanted to have a separate amount of clear that I could use to try different things. Let's pour a little bit of it out. Alright. Okay, so 1 drop and 1 drop. It's a little bit darker than I wanted it to be, but that's okay. It might diffuse a little bit as it spreads out in the shell, but the shell is pretty small, really, so it might not. But either way. Okay, let me get my white. And move this over here where we're gonna play. Put these on. And grab my little bug. Okay. Turn y'all around again. Okay. Now I did put glue in the holes of the shell so that the resin wouldn't pour through. Hopefully it holds. So far I have not had a lot of luck with sealing my things up, so I would not be surprised if it pours out, which is why I have it inside here. Okay, so I think we're going to start. It looks like the glue is holding up pretty good. Figured she needs a little friend. So put a fish in there, the little buddy. And I don't know if I want to put the plastic for ripples and whatnot first or after. I don't know. Okay. I have no idea if this is going to work. I've seen it on some tons and tons of different videos, and I've done it once with very mixed results. I don't know. I'm hesitant, if you couldn't tell. I don't want it to not work and have this whole thing kind of look like crap. So, but I'm gonna try because you don't learn if you don't fail. So, I'm just gonna put a drop. Well, on those, and then come in with my clear. And kind of wash it off. Oy. Now that's a problem with some of these Let's Resin bottles. Um, they're not very precise when you're trying to drop them. I think my error at this point, just from looking at it, is that I did not use alcohol ink for this. And I think if I had used the alcohol ink instead of the regular white pigment, it might have done some cooler spreading. But it is what it is. I still think she's super cute, even if it didn't work. I wonder if I don't know.
Wanted to show you the finished piece on this little guy. She is all done, yay! She's so cute, little baby. But yeah, I like how it came out. I'm happy with it. Not exactly what I had in mind, but pretty close. So